Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss, where today I will be sharing with you the voice cast and character details for the brand new animated series Star Trek Prodigy, set to debut sometime in 2021. It was almost exactly a month ago that star Kate Mulgrew, who will be reprising her role as Captain Catherine Janeway for the series, revealed the plot of said series as well as her place in the show. I released a video around that time about what was said, but it seems that on Prodigy we will see a group of children from the Delta Quadrant that are imprisoned together. When they figure out a way to escape, they come across a still unidentified ship that happens to contain a hologram of Captain Janeway, who is able to help them escape as well as send them on their journey. About a month before that, Paramount released an image of the main animated characters, but they did not release the voice actors behind them or any other details, such as their species. Well, now we not only know who these young additions to the franchise are, but also the talented and diverse voice cast behind them, as well as some details about each character. Here I will share these details and give you some background on the voice actors as well as some other aspects of each character, while also throwing out some theories about how they are connected to the show. As always, I would love to hear your theories as well, so let me know in the comments what you think of the cast and if you're excited for this show. If you are a subscriber, I'm giving away a free Blu-ray copy of the first season of Star Trek Lower Decks, so be sure to like and comment on the video to be entered. If this is your first time here, my name is Eric, and on this channel I talk about all the sci-fi characters and stories that I love, so if you love sci-fi and want to be kept up to date on sci-fi news, think about hitting that subscribe button. I just went over some specifics about the show, but in case you're not aware of Star Trek Prodigy, this is the official synopsis released by Paramount. Prodigy will follow a motley crew of young aliens who must figure out how to work together while navigating a greater galaxy in search for a better future. These 6 young outcasts know nothing about the ship they have commandeered, a first in the history of the Star Trek franchise, but over the course of their adventures together, they will each be introduced to Starfleet and the ideals it represents. Since this was released, we have learned that these 6 outcasts are in fact escaped prisoners who stumble across a Starfleet vessel in the Delta Quadrant. As I mentioned, the producers of the series have not said what ship they find, only that it contains a hologram of Captain Janeway. In the video I mentioned earlier that I created after this news was released, I hypothesized that this ship could be an unused concept attached to Voyager named the Shuttle. This was a vessel similar to the captain's yacht shown on the Enterprise that was designed but never used on the show Voyager, probably because of the inclusion of the Delta Flyer vessel. But given the fact that the Voyager was in the Delta Quadrant for 7 years and made many trades and exchanges, this could be a form of the EMH program used on Voyager that was then transferred to another ship. Either way, I'm guessing that the ship they use will be one of the best kept secrets until the show's release. It will also be interesting to see how a holographic version of Captain Janeway acts, as this version on the show is obviously not the real McCoy, so to speak. The EMH on Voyager was designed after a real person too, Dr. Louis Zimmerman, who, while looking like his holographic counterpart and having some of the same bedside manner, was still a great deal different than his doppelganger. This means that there is no guarantee that the personality of the holographic version of Janeway will be the same as the one we are used to, which could add a new dynamic to this character. I'm sure the writers will not want to stray too far away from the original copy though, as to not alienate fans that are so looking forward to seeing Captain Janeway again, but just don't be surprised if this version likes tea instead of coffee. Now on to the new characters of the series, and so far we know of 6 major characters that are joining Captain Janeway. It is a very interesting mix and includes some aliens we know very well, some that we know very little about, and some that we know nearly nothing about at all. First, let's start with the one that we should be most familiar with, and that is the character Joachim Pog, who is a Tellarite, a race that was one of the founding members of the Federation. Since the original series, Tellarites have probably changed their look more so than any other race, but it looks like they are now settling on the design last seen in the series Discovery, which makes this race appear more boorish, which coincidentally is also their most definable character trait. Known for being very argumentative, Tellarites love a good fight, and the series hired a great voice actor to play the role in Jason Manchokis. The actor has an extensive live action and voice acting career, but will always be Dennis Feinstein from Parks and Rec to me. I'm guessing that he and Captain Janeway will be butting heads quite a bit, and I bet it will make for some of the funniest exchanges on the show. Keeping with the theme of well-known voice actors, D. Bradley Baker joins the Star Trek universe as the character Murph, who is described as an endearing, indestructible blob with curiously good timing and an insatiable appetite for ship's parts. If you have watched a cartoon created in the past 20 years, you have probably heard Mr. Baker's voice in about every one of them, but he's probably most well known for his work in another science fiction franchise, Star Wars, as the voice of the clone troopers and various others within their animated series. I can't help but think of another sci-fi series I cover on this channel, the ORVILLE, and how this character might closely resemble a character from that show named Yaphet, but I guess we'll wait and see if this is one time Star Trek gets to use something from the ORVILLE instead of the other way around. Next up on the list is the youngest member of the cast, and that is Riley Elizraki, who will be voicing the character Rock Talk. She is described as an unusually bright 8-year-old girl from Brickar that is a bit shy, but not when it comes to her love for animals. There's actually a lot to unpack from this small bit of information, because first of all, Brickar is a deep cut into Star Trek lore. I'm talking memory beta deep. The Brickarians have appeared in novels in the Next Generation universe, but up until now, the species was never mentioned anywhere else. In the novels, they are very strong with rock-hard skin, and one even serves on the Titan with Captain Riker. One unusual aspect of the species is that their equivalent of puberty involves a skin molting process wherein their old skin flakes off to reveal another surface underneath. Since this character is so young, it stands to reason that we could see this occur during the series. Also, the fact that she is said to love animals may be a hint that she could be the group's healer, as I'm sure that each character will assume one of the known archetype roles of the bridge crew. The actress playing the character is the daughter of well-known voice actor Carlos Elizraki, who has voiced and played many characters, including the Taco Bell Chihuahua, Mr. Weed on Family Guy, and Officer James Garcia on Reno 911. It's always nice to see a kid take after their parent, and this could mean that her dad may show up to voice a character or two at some point as well. Now on to a very interesting character who is named Zero and is a Medusan, another deep cut back into the history of Trek. This race was mentioned in the original series and were said to be so hideous that everyone that saw them would go crazy and then die. Their name is of course based around the Greek myth of the character Medusa, who would turn any soldier to stone just by them looking at her. This character, that is non-binary, is said to be contained within a suit that they designed so that they can interact with people around them without killing them. The character is voiced by Angus Murray, who is known for starring as a younger version of Merlin in the movie The Kid Who Would Be King, that also starred Sir Patrick Stewart as an older version of the same character. Medusans are said to be great navigators, so similar to how I believe that Rok-Tahk will grow into the role of a healer, I would expect Zero to be the crew's navigator. The next two characters are the ones we know the least about, and the first is Gwen, who is described as a Va-Nacht, which must be her species, but as far as I know, that species has never been referenced. This character is voiced by Ella Perel, who just starred in Army of the Dead as Kate Ward, and who I thought did a pretty good job in that movie. The only official details released about her character are that she was raised on her father's bleak mining planet and grew up dreaming of exploring the stars. But there was a rumor out last year about this cast, and the term Va-Nacht was tied to a character that was villainous. The story was released by the Illuminati and read as follows. Our last character is Vezria. I'm honestly not sure what to make of her. The standard part of her description states that she's in her 30s and hunting for the missing ship by pretending to be an ensign in Starfleet. She's very intelligent and is skilled at manipulating people. She's determined to get revenge for her people and destroy the Federation. This doesn't really sound like this character, but the author goes on to state this. That's all fairly straightforward, right? Here's what tripped me up. In order to pose as an ensign, she's disguising her true Va-Nacht form. Now, if Va-Nacht is really not from anything else in Star Trek before Prodigy, it is just too much of a coincidence that this information would not be linked somehow. This does not necessarily mean that this is truly who this character is playing. This could possibly also be the description of another character that is a villain. But what do you think? Will there be a mole in this group that is perhaps not what they seem? Finally, there is Dal, who is said to be a 17-year-old and member of an unknown species that fancies himself a maverick, who even in toughest times holds strong onto his unwavering hope. Reading this character description, it feels like someone spilled some Star Wars onto my Star Trek. The character design looks very intricate, so I'm looking forward to learning more about the character, but I definitely do not want a Jedi or Rebel type character on the crew, because again, it just seems like someone who goes rogue as a Maverick is not best suited to serve within a crew. I know that James Kirk was known as a Maverick that didn't always listen to orders, but neither do most of the crew on Discovery, and so far fans are not super happy about that aspect of the show. So of all the characters, this one interests me the least, as I feel this one probably more so than the others is trying to draw in a new and younger audience, but we will see. Well, that was my breakdown of all the characters on Prodigy, but let me know in the comments if you have any theories or questions. Thanks for clicking on this video, and please like it if you enjoy it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?